and welcome to Just the Way You Are Girl, our relationship coaching program uniquely designed for women and girls, where we look at issues of dating and romance, and specifically to uh, show women how they can really navigate dating and get the kind of love and respect that they deserve. I'm your host, Teacher Grace. I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. It's a great day. It's the day that the Lord has made. It's bright, sunny out there, and yes, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great today. Yeah, so we are here back again to talk about those issues of love. Yeah, in some circles they call me a love doctor, but that is okay. Now, previously, or last Sunday, we did look at the qualities that make a woman strong or desirable, and we had a fantastic learning last Sunday. We had a great time last Sunday looking at the qualities that make a woman strong and desirable. Today we're going to be talking about communication. Communication, yeah, that's that word. And we said before that relationships are basically about getting our needs met, and the best way to get our needs across is to communicate them, especially for us women, in such a way that a man can be able to hear you and give you what you need. So communication, and specifically how to turn communication into connection. So we're looking at how can we communicate, but through communication create deeper connections with a man. So stay with me, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Just the Way You Are Girl. And like I said, we are talking about communication in dating and romantic relationships, and specifically how we can, as women, turn communication into connection, deep connections with men in especially romance and dating. Now, I want you to imagine how much input a man receives in a day from SMS, from the media, reviews out there, from requests from movies, from his workmates, his family. Yeah. Imagine there's a lot that is coming to him. Now, imagine how in the world, as a woman, you are supposed to cut through all this, so that a man can really hear you and be able to give you what you need. Now, one thing about love is that love has some sort of marketing component. And as a good marketeer, in this context, you want to make sure that your product or your message is standing out. Yeah? And your message is heard, your message stands out. And so, especially if you really want to be very clear, if you want to be very clear with a man and you get so much, out, if you're communicating to a man, like I said, who has so much coming to him. So the way this applies in terms of if we have to look at you now as a marketer really communicating, you want your message to be to the point and to stand out. But also as a very clever marketeer, you don't want to say anything that the prospective customer doesn't want to hear. Yeah, so you want to avoid things that are going to make your message get lost within everything else that is coming through, or that is being said out there. And so communication in this incident becomes, you need to be very skillful as a woman in a way, you communicate so that you can get heard. And that means really that less, and this is a principle, less becomes really, really so much when communicating. Remember, we've said you're trying to really get to the point, get your message heard, get your message should, you have to have the attention that you need when you communicate. And so communicating with less usually works very well. It proves really to be very effective. And to illustrate this, I would like to use an example of Emily from Nansana. Emily from Nansana is one of my listeners, and recently she wrote to me, and this is what she said. She said, "Dear Teacher Grace, my boyfriend is habitually late. He's always late for almost all the social events that we organize. He's late for dinner, he's late for movies, and this really, really makes me feel frustrated. I have talked to him several times, but he doesn't seem really to be changing. And so this last time we had planned a dinner together with some of our friends, and can you imagine, he came an hour late. And this really made me get very pissed off. This is now Emily saying she got very pissed off, and she expressed her disappointment to her boyfriend. Now, Emily says when she did express her disappointment, the boyfriend instead got very angry and distant. And so she is writing to me saying, "So Teacher Grace, what should I do in this case?" Now, Emily's case is a classical example of, and I want us to use it today to look at communication, how communication can actually make or break. And to really put it into context, I wrote back to Emily and I asked Emily to please tell me what exactly did she say to the boyfriend this time around when he came late. And so this is what Emily told me. She told me because I was really fed up and pissed off, I told him, "I can't believe you did this again. You don't realize how inconsiderate you are being. Do you think you're the only one who matters? You are always late for dinner. Last month, we missed the beginning of the movie, and now we are going to keep our friends waiting. I can't stand this. I can't stand it when you do this. You have to change." So this is Emily telling the boyfriend who is habitually late. And I would like to encourage you, our listeners, to please call in and tell me what you think about this dialogue or monologue between Emily and her boyfriend. But looking at communication and the fact that we want as women to communicate so that we get heard, but also get our needs met, I think from a coach's perspective, looking at the way Emily responded and the kind of words she used, I think when you talk to a man like this, he will definitely become defensive. Especially because he knows he has screwed up. And, he feels like he's failed you. And for him, that is too much for him to handle. He actually can't take it. The feeling that he's actually let you down and messed up. And so, instead of this boyfriend who is actually acting very manly, instead of doing what is expected or what would be logical, which is to fix the problem and, change his behavior or, be better next time, he gets angrier. And, he's angry because the girlfriend is pointing out his faults yet again. If you remember in Emily's communication, she said, "I can't believe it. You keep doing this. You are late for dinner. We delayed for the movie." So this guy is actually angry because Emily, the girlfriend, is pointing out his faults yet again. And when this happens, that is when now a man will retreat. He will get angry. He will even go the other direction, and to the direction of despondency or depression, and that makes it very, very hard, for you to reach him. So in this case, Emily is feeling frustrated because she thought, by putting across her feelings or how she, expressing the way she felt, she expected this man to change, but look what happened. So it became much harder for her now to reach him. Now, by simply changing a few of the words we use in communication, as women, we can actually create a connection if we skillfully, know how to use and when and which kind of words to use. We can create deeper connections with men, but also we can get men to change their behavior. Now, that is what we're going to be looking at today, and I want us to take a short break. And when we return, we shall be looking at what are some of the ways, which kind of words could have Emily used in this situation. I actually worked with Emily, and we were able to come up with a little power speech, which I will share with you. But let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at that. I will leave you with Gone with the Wind as we go for our break. This is an original from my very own Zakia Baiga. Zakia, I want to congratulate you for making it to the second phase of the Opportunities Are Here competition. And I know that you will keep shining, and the best is yet to come for you. Enjoy. We're talking about communication, and specifically how to turn communication into connection, especially for us women and girls, as we interact and navigate issues of dating and romantic relationships. And we had looked at the story of Emily from Nansana, who reached out to me for help because she feels frustrated about the boyfriend who, despite her efforts really to get him to change his bad timekeeping habits, he still continues. And she says the last time that he was late, she expressed how she felt, but instead of the boyfriend being understanding and maybe even apologizing or changing, he just instead became very angry and very distant from her. And so she's confused. She doesn't know what to do. Yeah, so that is a typical illustration of how communication can really make or break. And we did examine the kind of words that Emily used when she was communicating to her boyfriend, and I did point out that yes, in those words, actually, the kind of words she used and how she said them led to how the boyfriend reacted. And this is one thing we need to be mindful of, not only in romance but in even other social relationships. The kind of words, the tone, and how they use, what you choose to use. I said love has like a marketing component. As somebody who is actually the whole of life, not only love. We are constantly in a situation where we are either marketing. Marketing is not only about products; it's even about your interactions with people. You are creating an impression. You're selling your ideas. They are forming a perception of you, and so that's communication. And communication is a tool that we use here. So we are saying that as a clever marketeer, in this case, if we're talking about Emily, you need to make sure that your message really stands out. Your message is you need to know which kind of words to avoid using in the communication. What, for example, would the prospective customer, who in this case is the boyfriend, not want to hear. So we are looking at how can we communicate in such an effective way as women, so we can be able to get our needs met. And we saw what happened here with Emily's case. Now, other than just having using less of words, I think the other very important point is that as women, we have an advantage that we are instinctually or naturally, we are more instinctive and more emotional, and that works very much to our advantage, because in communicating we can actually pull out that innate attribute that God gave us, and that is using our emotions to communicate. When I talk about emotions here, I mean expressing ourselves in terms of how we feel about what is happening, or the way we are being treated, or what the other person is doing to us. In this case, looking at Emily's case, it is the boyfriend. We are very, very emotional in nature, to the extent that even when you look at our psychological wiring, the part of the brain which is responsible for emotions, which is that whole component is called the limbic system. The limbic system for women is slightly larger in size than that of men, and that is because we really function so much out of our emotions, so we use emotions so much, so that part is even designed much bigger than men. So we need to take advantage of that and express our feelings. And when working with Emily, this is something that we did, and together with her, I did work with her to come up with a powerful little speech. And let me first read for you what she told the boyfriend, and then we will see what the alternative that she could have used to portray the same message, or to express the same dissatisfaction, but in a way that the boyfriend could hear her. So when the boyfriend was late, this is what she said. She said, "I can't believe you did this again. Don't you realize how inconsiderate you are being? Do you think you are the only one who matters?" So she's now asking the boyfriend. "You are always late for dinner. Last month we missed the beginning of the movie, and now we are going to keep our friends waiting. I really can't stand it when you do this. You have to change." And according to Emily, this message just made the boyfriend become very angry and so distant. But let us also look at another version, how she could have creatively or tactfully and cleverly phrased the same, put across the same message, but worded it differently. And this is what I recommended for her. I said, you could have said something like, "I'm feeling really angry right now." So that's actually what she was feeling. You see now I'm bringing up the feeling, how actually what the actions of the boyfriend made her, how they made her feel. She felt angry. So I say, we could have said, I'm feeling really angry right now. It doesn't feel good to wait. And it doesn't feel good to keep my friends waiting either. I don't want to be complaining all the time, and I really don't know what to do. What do you think we can do to fix this? So in a few words, you can see that, we have clearly communicated Emily's frustrations, but without necessarily directly blaming the boyfriend or pointing a finger at the boyfriend like she did in the first phrase, when you said, you always do this, you're always late, yeah? Actually, nobody wants to be criticized. It's human nature, not only for men, it's human nature. We all never want to be, like someone really point a finger outrightly to you and say, you, yeah? We feel like this person is, we're under attack, yeah? So, by changing these and now bringing out her true, inner feelings, in a few, by the way, using few words, because the first message she really, she really said a lot. So in a few words, we have clearly communicated with Emily's frustration, and we haven't directly blamed the boyfriend. Yeah. Notice we have not mentioned anything to do like you, boyfriend, did it, you. Yeah. And one of the other important things that we have done, we have actually turned over the problem to him by asking him, so what do you think we can do? So this actually gives him now an opportunity, yeah, as a man. It's you will have you will have made him feel good enough to want to change, yeah, to want to do something, and now he has an opportunity to make things better, because now she's really handed it over and said, I'm tired of complaining. Yeah, I don't want to be complaining. So what do you think we can do? Yeah. So if we go back to what I said when we were beginning, that there's a lot that is going on out there in terms of what is coming through to the man in terms of the messages, from all over the place really, and especially today with social media. There's a lot that is coming through, and so because men are continually being bombarded day in, day out with a lot of information, yeah, if we are not packaging our communication in a way that is to the point, and also to that point, because that's another thing that I'm going to talk about as ladies, how we really are very indirect and how it works against us. So unfortunately, man doesn't know how to multitask the way women do. Yeah? Men easily get distracted. So if he's having so much coming in, they tend to, get distracted and focus on what they think is important at the moment. So if the message coming to him, like, what Emily's example, yeah, they tend to kind of like, shut down. They will not hear you, and it will be very difficult, yeah, for him to meet your needs, yeah, and that causes a lot of frustration for us women. So what we are saying here, let us as women, first of all, use as few words as we can, yeah, and that takes practice. Yeah. When I work with clients in my coaching sessions about communication, we actually learn even how to script, to write exactly what you want to say, yeah, and how. But with time, as we keep practicing it, writing these feeling messages, and actually it starts with, there's a client I was working with, and she really had difficulty expressing, especially the negative feelings. We normally fear to, we have a fear of expressing the negative, anger, sadness, frustration. So the best way to do it is to start by expressing the positive. Just make it your way of communicating, where you express yourself as a woman in terms of how you feel. Yeah. How are you today? I'm feeling great. I'm feeling cold. I'm feeling happy. Yeah, I'm feeling excited. Yeah. So that now, when it comes to expressing the negative ones, it's more or less like for it becomes much easier for you. Yeah. So expressing ourselves, tapping into our innate ability to feel, to use our emotions, and then bringing out or expressing what we feel. Yeah. And this has to be really very, very honest. Yeah, that's the other thing. It has to be a very honest reflection of what is happening on the inside of us at that time. Yeah. So we're saying that because of a lot of what is going on, in terms of information and everything, we need, in the middle of all this mental activity and bombardment, the best thing we can do is to offer men, feelings or emotions, real honest gut level feelings, expressing ourselves how we feel, in a way that they can hear us. Because the other thing that happens when we express our emotions, or when we express how we feel, it returns, these men to a state of, feeling like human beings. Yeah? That is the other thing about men, because what happens is that men are mainly functioning in the masculine, which is very testosterone driven, and the way it works is very logical, very oriented towards solving problems, very competitive as well. Testosterone causes those competitive urges, in men. And so in communicating to them, what we can actually offer, which is the feminine, is our emotions and feelings. And the more we express ourselves in terms of how we feel, we actually draw in this man. We get them to also start tapping into their emotional self, which makes them be more reasonable and more humane. Yeah. So we actually also succeeding at getting them to really get in touch also with their emotions, and that really makes them to be very, very understanding and more receptive to what we have to say. Yeah. So yes, communication to create deeper connections is what we are looking at today, and I'm your host, Teacher Grace, on our show Just the Way You Are Girl, and we are looking at how we use communication to create deeper connections and succeed at romantic relationships and dating. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Born Radio.
Our listeners, and for you to qualify for this voucher, please call me on 0759 800 227 and send me your questions about issues to do with dating and romance. But also, you can actually reach me through the Ban Radio app. You can download the app on www.thebandradio.com and stand a chance to win a voucher worth 20,000 shillings from Jumia. Now, the way it works is that you will get 20,000 shillings off whatever you purchase from using the Jumia app if your purchase is 50,000 shillings and above. So please call in, reach out to me through the Ban Radio app and stand a chance to win this lovely voucher. Yes, just the way you are, girl. My number once again is 0759 800 227. So I'm waiting for your calls. The vouchers are here with me. Quite a number of vouchers, by the way. So yeah, call quickly so that you can stand a chance to win. And yes, we are still looking at communicating to create connections, deeper connections with men, and we are saying that one of the effective ways is using less, of words. I know we women we have so many words, but less many times means has a greater meaning, or will really send a bigger message. But also, we are saying that let us take advantage of our, the fact that we are feeling beings and express ourselves according to how we feel about what is happening around us. Yeah, both good and bad, by the way. Yeah, it's just that in Emily's case, this was an issue to do with something that the boyfriend was doing which she didn't like. But it could be that you want more time, you want more attention, from this guy. And yes, the approach is still the same. You should communicate. You should express yourself according to how you feel. And in this case, very much, because sometimes, not only sometimes, really, many times as women we are so indirect. For some reason, we have been raised to be not to say what we want to say in kind of a very straightforward way, and this works against us because men are very they want very straightforward communication, very get to the point. There's a story of this gentleman is a very good friend, and he's called James. James, I won't say the other name, but James is a very good friend. And during that time when James and the now wife were still dating, there was this scenario where the fiancé, then she was a fiancé, she had gone for an office party out of town, somewhere out of town, and she wanted James to join her at the party, and so she sends a message to him saying the party is good, do you want to come? No, I think she's saying the party is good, you can come if you want to. Okay, so James is thinking and is like, okay, I have just linked up with the boys, and I'm just starting to enjoy the match, and I honestly don't think I want to. Yeah, but you see, she actually wants James to come to the party, but she's offered him, the way she's phrased it, you can come if you want to. And so he's like, okay, I don't want to. And she really got offended by this, and she was so unhappy. Said, how come you don't want to? Yeah, but you see, the whole issue is about the communication. Because he asked, you can come if you want to, and say, I don't want to, but why didn't you want to? And so, then showed the kind of a conflict arose out of that, yeah? And the lesson really from there, and later, really, when I got in touch with these two people, and this had really become a very big issue. So James is telling me, but you see, she asked if I want to, and I don't want to, and yeah. So basically, we need to communicate in such a direct way. I think, in this case, she should have told James that, you see, James, I would love for you to come over and join me at the party. Would you please come to the party? Yeah. I think that would have sounded, much more proper, and, told this guy, James, that actually she really wants you. So that kind of direct communication where we actually say what we want. Let's be bold enough and straight enough as we mean to actually say what we want, and in very, very, very direct terms. So we are talking communication. I want to remind you once again that we have a voucher from Jumia, Jumia, the online shopping, and if you purchase anything above 50,000 using the Jumia app, then you qualify to get a 20,000 shillings off your purchase, using the voucher that I'm about to give out. So please call me. I have this voucher. Call me and win this voucher. Write to us through the app, and send me your questions, send me your comments on what you think about communication. What has been your experience, with communicating, especially ladies, but also men? Tell me, what has been your experience with communicating with women? What have been your challenges? And I'll be very, very happy to respond to your questions. So that is it for me from Just the Way You Are Girl with Teacher Grace. I pray that the Lord may bless you and keep you, and the Lord may make His countenance to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Till next Sunday, I'm your host,